talking more about the concept of the spectator sport of MMA. You know what I mean? Kind of the what we thought, like when we first saw MMA, and how we have a mirror to breaking and the marketing of mixed martial arts, specifically UFC, right? We're gonna talk about that because I think not a lot of people see this the mirror, right? Not a lot of people see the parallels that needs to be kind of like put out there, because that way our arts slash sport can grow to have spectators. And this episode of Gearheads Breakcast, we're gonna try to like have you guys see that, and hopefully you guys can kind of like help push this art sport to the general public.
And yeah, contribute to the dialogue and what we're doing, right? As
Yeah.
our cultural art form of breaking is transcending our immediate community fast. You know, we already have the corporate sponsorships. There's a schedule for it, and of course the Olympics, right? Perception is everything, and right now, I mean, the perception of breaking, as we can go down the chronological timeline, Hollywood told us it's called breakdancing, right? We're even going to put breakdancing right here, and we might add that just to communicate.
Yep.
And that's a big thing and what we're trying to do here with the Breakcast, with the Gearheads Breakcast, right? We're trying to help guide that and add context, rich context, to how we perceive this art. So this parallel right here, and you even use skateboarding. That could be another one, and maybe
Yep. Eventually,
we'll
do that.
Here,
yeah, for sure.
We got some good points that you've been on this for years. You've been talking this for years. So I'm excited to hear what you have to say.
About 6 years. First, I want to just say, first of all, I think the thing of the fear of exploitation, we need to get over that. As far as breaking culture, we need to get over that already. Because a lot of the people that, like, especially the Cypher B-boys or Keep It Real B-boys, which I am one of them, right? The fear is the exploit. That's why a lot of them don't want it in the Olympics, because of the fear of exploitation, what happened in the 80s. But the problem back then in the 80s were the people that were in charge of Hollywood and stuff like that were guys that were in television or film since the 20s, 40s. So a lot of them come from vaudeville. A lot of them come from this old school mentality of marketing. Versus today, people that are behind the scenes as far as marketing, ESPN, the Olympics, they're all people my age. They're 40 who grew up in hip hop. So people are afraid of this thing. People are afraid of this thing when the guys that are in charge in the 80s weren't of the culture. Yet now, they're all my age that grew up on like a Public Enemy or a KRS-One and grew up on Freestyle Session and grew up on these things. So the first stigma that we have to conquer is the fear of exploitation. Because to me, there's no such thing as underground anymore. Now that there's social media, there's no such thing as underground. It's just everything is open. It's just how you market it, right? And this is why I'm relating it MMA to breaking. So to describe the first part of it is that breaking is like a fight, right? Like you're basically you're fighting without actual like physical contact. It's still confrontational. You still get in each other's face. It's still physical. But the thing is, no one's getting physically hurt, right? They're getting their egos hurt at the most, right? Or maybe if they have an accident, maybe they break their arm by trying to do a move or get a concussion by doing, but that's rare in a competition, that is, right? So what do you think? How do you think about that? Do you feel like fighting and breaking are very similar, Jay?
Well, for sure. Well, it's combat. One is non-physical, right? So everything you say with the psychology to it, what we're doing, there's variables that we can talk about with that, right? When you're fighting, you have an opponent, so you have somebody else that you're accounting for. That is your environment that you are reacting to. Dancing is obviously music, right? It's a little. I'm not going to say it's easier. I'm not going to say it's not as depthful, but it requires a lot of internalization and just internal awareness, right? How can I maximize this? And those are the similarities. The differences is, like fighting. It's easy to say this guy won, right? Most times, unless it goes to decision, right? And when it goes to decision, no one's really happy. And breaking, it goes to decision, and no one's really happy.
Yeah.
That's one of the parallels or things to kind of notice about that. So I mean, I like what you're doing with this. Like we can talk about the similarities and differences for sure, but how you're comparing the parallel, because we can learn from it, right? That's kind of one of the main things.
Yes. So the whole thing is so let's look at and this is for everyone that's not a b-boy or b-girl that's tuning in. So there's a part of a culture, like let's say in breaking, a street fight. A cipher is a street fight. You know what I mean? That's a street. Because there's no rules. There's no time limit. There's no real judges. Sometimes it's just like a guy could be super whack, but if he has the stamina and can keep on going, then he, in his mind, he thinks he won because the other guy walked away.